Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and Alyssa Diggs and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And sorry, I think I was a little hot on the opening. I might have blown out your eardrums, but
no, I don't think it was you. I think it's,
it felt a little boom.
I'm going to say this. It's like, look, we share a studio with multiple personalities, and whoever sits in my spot, they are deaf.
Yeah, because they always crank. I always see you adjusting it after we get started. But
this week was a little more. But I don't blame you. You came off just right.
Okay. Well, hey guys. So shortly we're going to talk about the Daredevil trailer that dropped. Daredevil: Born Again coming on Disney Plus. Well, they're sure making it as. They're trying to make sure they know this isn't a cutesy little lighthearted Disney Plus thing. I mean, it's grisly and violent. The trailer was hard to look at. I'm like, they're breaking people's arms and legs, and
I think one of the things that's funny is that the Netflix series, the first 3 seasons, they're very violent. They're very like visceral, but it's dark.
Yeah.
But now you've got the Disney brightness with all the same violence.
Is it as bright? Okay, anyway. It's got the filter. But anyway, well, if this was 10 years ago, I'd be turning cartwheels. I'd be doing the thing. Now we're street level. I mean, we're street hardened and or battle hardened and street wise. And so we're going to just look at this for what it is. So,
it's the best thing Marvel's put out since the last thing Marvel put out.
Somehow, I guess there's a couple of films out there involving monkeys that have both. I'm sorry. A chimpanzee is not technically a monkey, right?
Right.
We have murdering monkeys, and then we have pop star.
We do not want to talk about Robbie Williams as a better man, because as much as that looks amazing, I want to see it. It is bombing hard here in the U.S.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
Well, that's the thing. Robbie Williams has a huge following overseas. He's a European pop star.
Is it kind of like Jerry Lewis? He was big in Europe and France.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, Jerry Lewis still had a presence here. We know Robbie Williams as being, all right, he's had a couple of songs, and he was part of a boy band at one point, but we look at it going, why is this guy getting a monkey movie?
Okay. Before we do any of that, though, let's just pay tribute. I will quickly say we lost 2 legends the same day. Bob Uecker died at 90. Mr. Baseball, who was a terrible baseball player but a brilliant announcer, which just goes to show if you love something and you care about it, maybe you can't work. Maybe you can't succeed in one section, but you can succeed in the other. I mean, great announcer, really funny. I heard Bob Uecker was on a guest on Johnny Carson more than any other person. Like I think it was like 100 times he was on the Johnny Carson show.
Bob Uecker is in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Yeah, funny and he basically worked up till the end. I know I was listening to a game last year, and I flipped it over because I have the MLB app, and just for kicks, I said, because they were playing the Brewers, and I said, I'm going to see what Bob Uecker is saying, and he was still announcing. So, I mean, hats off to him. Going, working his whole life in baseball, so good for him. And his Hall of Fame speech, if you ever want to watch something funny, go on YouTube and watch when he got inducted to the Hall of Fame. It is the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's nothing like any other speech that's ever been. You're even wondering, what am I listening to? But more relevant to you guys, and I have to be honest, I'm not as familiar with his work. David Lynch passed away the same day. Yeah. So now you guys are all...
no, you're not. You're looking in the wrong direction, man. I like Twin Peaks and everything, and I like David Lynch, just his attitude towards the rest of Hollywood. Yeah, but I mean, I'm not a huge fan of his stuff outside of Twin Peaks. I mean, he did some amazing work. I'm not going to deny that.
Oh, come on, The Elephant Man.
Well, yeah, but
he did that.
Yeah.
That is a depressing movie, but
that movie was absolute brilliance from opening scene to closing scene.
Yeah, well. It's still,
he got a good performance out of Cher in that movie.
There's so much of his stuff that it's like I can watch Twin Peaks over and over again, binge the whole thing, turn around, and do it again. I'm not gonna watch The Elephant Man on a. You know what? This is a good Saturday night movie. Get the popcorn ready.
Oh yeah,
no, it's not.
It's very depressing.
Yeah.
Well, Alyssa, what I was surprised about my daughter when she's the one that gave me the news, and she was really bummed out. She goes, David Lynch is one of the reasons or one of the influences that got me interested in filmmaking. I'm like, what? She's your age, and
yeah, I think a lot of
your
young people
generation.
really enjoy his work. I'm in the Brandon camp of I enjoy Twin Peaks, but I don't watch a ton of his other stuff. Not to say I don't think it's important works of art. It's just stuff that I don't go back to a bunch.
I guess he's heavy, right?
Yeah.
Although,
he's heavy. He's a little weird. He's severely kooky. He's not John Waters kooky, but he's his stuff hits hard.
Yeah, he's so uniquely himself, and I really appreciate.
There's not really a way to describe him other than David Lynch.
Yeah.
There was a movie I did watch because I can't even remember what the premise was. Oh, I know what it was. It was a guy that rode a lawnmower across the country. He rode a riding lawnmower to honor somebody who had died. It might have been his son or something. And it was one of the few movies he made that it was basically PG. There was nothing offensive. There was no language, whatever. But man, it was depressing. It was heavy.
Yeah.
It was really well made. But you're like, how would a movie about a guy riding a lawnmower across the country keep my attention? But it sure did.
Yeah.
So I guess it just shows any premise is fair game if you're a good storyteller.
Right.
So, but Alan, I thought you would be a little more familiar with some of his grittier, darker stuff.
Oh,
right?
like The Lost Highway, Eraserhead. How about the first cinematic shot at Dune?
Yeah, he did do that.
That was Kyle
he
MacLachlan.
did Dune.
Yeah.
Big swing and a miss for me, but okay.
All right,
No.
not for 1984. It wasn't.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I mean, yeah. I just remember
He put Sting in a movie. That doesn't do anything.
He put all right. He didn't do it for you, Brandon.
Everything done in Hollywood is for me, Alan.
did.
However, your
Sting.
wife might argue why Sting was in that movie. Lynch just, whether you liked his movies, didn't like his movies, he did make you think.
Mm-hmm.
He always delivered a message of. Sometimes that message took a while to get through to you because it involved a lot of pie.
Yeah.
But
well, you got to admire somebody that sticks to their guns and creates the art that they wanted to make. So.
He created cool stuff.
All right. So David Lynch and Bob Uecker, please rest in peace.
Yeah.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. We'll see who's laughing once the Velociraptor eggs hatch. The Geek Patrol is back.
And welcome back to, gosh, I was hot again on that. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and Alyssa Diggs and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And Daredevil, Born Again, the trailer dropped for that new show coming on Disney Plus. I want to say, what is it, April? Forgot to check when, but what's...
I will look it up while you pontificate.
Well, they sure tried to make sure that if you were a fan of the Netflix series, which I personally am, I will say of all the 3 seasons, I loved season 1. I wasn't as big of a fan of season 2, but I thought they totally redeemed themselves in season 3. And then the show just ended and went away.
Yeah, March 4th.
Yeah, so March 4th. Okay, not that far away. But, boy, they're sure trying to pull out all the stops. They've got Bullseye. They've got Kingpin. They've got a new group that I don't recognize, Brandon. I feel like you did.
What do you mean new group?
Who's the guys with the robbing? They're robbing banks. They all have masks on, and they. I feel like I should know them.
So you got 2 different characters that are showing up that are masked, and both of them in white masks with black accents. They have nothing to do with each other.
Oh,
one of them is White Tiger.
Okay,
the male White Tiger. Marvel has had one of each gender. Basic binary genders. But we also have Muse, who is like what would happen if Banksy went nuts.
Now
and
that's
became a criminal.
Interesting. Wait a minute, that's an interesting premise.
And see, and Muse is like, I think maybe like only been in the comics for maybe like 10 years.
What do you mean by that? That's because I'm a fan of Banksy just because of the way he operates. But what do you mean by that?
All right, so Muse is an artist turned criminal. I mean, he all right, so I'm going to read this to you just because I've only read a few comics that had Muse in it.
Okay.
All right, so Muse was a mysterious, deranged artist whose gruesome work of art was discovered after he anonymously sent the vigilante Blind Spot the address of the warehouse in Washington Heights where he had painted it. His work consisted of a mural painted with blood from over 100 different missing people.
Oh, my gosh.
He is like a serial killer, but he's going to do murals based on it.
It's a horrifying thing, but it sounds interesting.
It's like
Connecting
Salvador
art and-
Dali meets Dexter.
Interesting.
Dexter,
It's Salvador Dali meets Dexter. I'm not putting Dexter first because it's more Salvador Dali in the weirdness.
I was gonna say it was Salvador Dali meets Salvador Dali, but you know,
but Dexter had a certain flair for getting the raw materials.
but he also he didn't want to be seen.
Yeah.
Muse wants the attention.
So the twist that they're playing, and of course, I look at Vincent D'Onofrio and go, what is in this man's head that lets him do these roles?
He
was Edgar
he's broken.
in the first MIB, running around in an Edgar suit. He was in The Cell,
He was
which
Private Pile in Full Metal Jacket.
he was. He was some of these amazing characters, and now this is like a defining character.
Yep.
Because
Now he's
the
mayor.
first time they cast him, I'm like, all right, he's nowhere big enough or mean enough to be the Kingpin. 30 seconds in,
Yeah.
you went, never mind, never mind,
Right.
never mind.
We say that thing going into it, but at the same time, we were a lot more accepting of the gentle giant playing the Kingpin.
Yeah. And
Michael Clark Duncan is like, he was one of the sweetest guys in the entire world. If you ever got a chance to meet him, you'd all agree. But we're like, all right, he can't be the Kingpin, but he was just as vicious and visceral in that movie. He's the only good part of that movie.
Yeah. But so you're watching this, and I love the twist that they're putting on this is that we're now actually going to have a villain that will make these two adversaries possibly even have to work together.
Well, that's what you're wondering about that. Cause,
I mean, they floated it out there in the trailer that, these two are sitting down having lunch together.
Right.
and obviously he's trying to schmooze
a prominent litigator in New York is sitting down to lunch at a diner with the mayor.
right.
That's what you got there.
Yeah.
There's no
You
security
go from
detail.
prison to mayor. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too, because obviously he's trying
Yeah,
to.
I mean, that's so unrealistic. Who would
Careful, Brandon.
who would elect a felon?
Okay.
Yeah.
Who
Anyway,
would
but
do that?
they were trying to. It looks like he's trying to get Matt Murdock to do something for him. But one of the reasons, I guess, so it's like I'm trying to be hopeful about it because so far it looks really cool. And I think I mentioned that my favorite season is 1 and 3, and The Hand, which was like basically the entire season 2. I don't see them at all here, and I'm like, maybe the director has a similar sensibility that I'm feeling. I don't know.
It's more along the lines of we are moving into more of the Frank Miller Daredevil with the stories here.
Okay.
And I don't think Jeff Loeb has a hand in it. Pun intended.
No.
All right, so we're going to get the Punisher,
We are.
which means
Oh, I forgot about that.
all right,
Yeah,
we're going to get Punisher. So we're going to get eased into the pre-MCU days. So if we're going to get a Punisher,
No, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong, Alan.
well, this is the Netflix days.
No. The Punisher has been confirmed as being part of the MCU. So are the Defenders. And all that other stuff. What we were starting off with when they originally announced Born Again was it was not going to have any connection to Netflix. And when the executives at Disney saw what they were bringing them, they were like, "No, we're going to fix this." And that's why it's been delayed so long. Is they've gone back. They got Foggy back. They got Karen back. They put them in there because what Disney execs wanted, and it was one of the few missteps that Kevin Feige has made, is that he wanted to take it in a different direction and separate it. And Disney said, "No."
What kind of direction?
It was just
because the last time we saw them,
they were going to use they were going to use D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox, but they weren't going to have any connection to the Netflix series.
Okay, that would have been a big mistake.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And now it's season 4.
yeah, good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it basically
Well,
looks like.
who do we get after the Punisher? Because we have the Defenders. Who do we get next?
Well, I mean, are they going to just retread and bring Luke Cage and everybody back?
Um,
All right. Well, we'll continue to speculate when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. The Geek Patrol is back.
And it's not out of the question that you might have a very minor case of serious brain damage.
I think that's true. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everyone. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Alan Gilbreth and Alyssa Diggs and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And we're in the middle of a conversation talking about Daredevil, Born Again, which is more or less, let's just call it Daredevil Season 4, which is now going to be on Disney+. To their credit, they seem to be taking all the best elements of what made that show so great and moving it over. They're not trying to Disneyfy it. Maybe they are, but it's definitely going to have gritty street-level violence. But I just wanted to say something and see what you guys thought, because one of the reasons I love the Daredevil show on Netflix was because there were sometimes the best episodes were completely unexpected. For me, one of the best episodes they did, and I think it was in season 3, it was all about Karen Page's backstory, which, let's face it, should be just sort of, oh, okay. Well, I mean, we think of all these larger-than-life characters. Karen Page she has no superpower. She's just and that was one of the best episodes they ever did.
Yeah.
They were really good at zooming in on every character's history and just their personality. Even Foggy Nelson, I couldn't have cared less about him. He's great in this. I mean, he's a great character. So they really were good at fleshing out the characters. So I hope they continue this approach.
Yeah, I'd like to see. I mean, I definitely want to see an episode that'll delve into White Tiger's background. I would love to see some. I don't want it to take up too much time, but the de-evolution mentally of Muse.
What do you mean by that?
Well, all right. So one of the things
that character sounds interesting.
One of the things that really good shows do when it comes to people like a serial killer or something like that is when they take a moment to show the, I mean, I said de-evolution, but basically becoming savagery, the deconstructing of their societal norms. You get to see a couple of things early on with them before they put on the mask, kind of situation, where we've always loved the hero's journey. Well, the villain's journey can be just as fun to watch.
Usually it's
not
better.
More so.
I mean, come on, let's be honest.
Because more often than not, you can identify with what drives the villain to do what they do. We all strive, well, except for Alan, we all strive to be the hero in our own story. But
well, let's face it, the basic Marvel template is the hero and the villain have basically the exact same backstory or similar, and they hit a crossroads and they take the hero goes one way, the villain goes the other.
Right.
That's why they're always fighting at the end of like Ant-Man and things like that. But
all comes down to either one situation or one choice. And that next domino sends you down a certain road. So Muse is, I'm really excited to see such a dramatic villain, because politically, this guy has got to be absolute poison.
Right.
Especially when you have a criminal past like the current mayor.
Yeah, I mean, Wilson Fisk is, I will say, that is probably one of the reasons why he brings up in the trailer asking Matt, why did he stop being a vigilante? Because he needs someone that street level to go.
I need somebody like me.
That's what it seems like. That's
after
what
this guy. Yeah.
Right. Wait, I got a question. In the trailer, I can't remember. Does he say, thank you for agreeing to meet with me? Or so, like, who called this meeting, I guess? Do we know? Or I guess that's what I mean, you have to imagine Kingpin called the meeting, right?
He says basically that it wasn't unpleasant seeing you again.
I remember
AKA,
that.
we're not beating each other with a car at this moment.
But I couldn't tell who arranged the meeting. Because they meet in a diner.
I'm positive Fisk called the meeting.
Well, there's this part of me that says that, one of them reached out to the other, but they both were seeking one another out.
Well, that's significant. So
because Matt thinks that Fisk is, he says it right there. He says, I have a feeling you're gaming the system. But at the same time, Fisk needs a problem taken care of.
Well, and then we see a little glimpse of Bullseye, which for my money, he was one of the most interesting characters. Yeah. And I'm glad they didn't give him the goofy outfit either.
I mean, I do like the fact that, it's like they completely stood Bullseye's origin on end. It's a different character altogether going into it, but it still got you to the same place. And Wilson Bessel is a great actor. I like him, and I watched Heart of Dixie more for his acting than the fact that the show had a storyline.
Yeah.
And same with All Rise, but he embodies that character so well, because I can see him as the serious, assassin, for the Daredevil universe, but I can also see that same actor playing the playful Bullseye who hangs out with Deadpool.
Right.
Which, if you've never read a comic with Deadpool and Bullseye in it, it's the worst buddy cop ever, because they're bad guys, but it's so much fun.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
And I just this is because every time I get my hopes up about something, I try to temper it. But this one little detail gave me some hope, because one of the things that was great about Daredevil was it had a different flavor, it had a different vibe. Really good acting and really good dialogue. And one of the things that gave me hope in this trailer is a very small detail, but you remember how they're at the diner and they zoom in on Wilson Fisk's hand.
Yeah.
And just the gestures he was making with his hand, you're like, there's something pent up here. There's something. This guy's acting with a hand gesture.
Yes.
I'm like, that is a cool attention to detail that made me think, okay, maybe there's some craftsmanship going on in this production here. So,
well, they got a chance. It's already been greenlit for 2 seasons. We're getting season 1. They're in the middle of production of season 2. We already know we're going to get a Punisher. So another massive character that people have missed.
The Russos have already said that Matt Murdock will show up in Doomsday.
Is this more or less an R rating? I mean, I guess it's TVMA, because just the trailer with the breaking the arms and that scene.
Oh, yeah, the big jump on the leg was awesome.
Okay. Well, I hate to say it, but that's what he is. Daredevil's a street-level character.
Some of us like the villainy of some of this more than the rest of us.
Well,
but,
I'm glad we don't have to wait. We're talking about 6 weeks or something. I guess this will finally get me back on Disney Plus. So, all right, when we come back, we're going to talk about murdering monkeys.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. The Geek Patrol is back.
Can't be too careful with all those weirdos around.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Alan Gilbreth and Alyssa Diggs and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And I just watched a trailer that, Brandon, please tell me this is a joke. Anyway, we're going to discuss. There's 2. Well, what are the odds? There's 2 monkey films, although technically chimpanzees are not monkeys, I guess. Whatever. But they couldn't be more opposite from each other. Or maybe they are both comedies. I don't know. But let's talk with what are the odds that you get that in the same weekend or the same release time?
It's no Dante's Peak Inferno combination, but
okay. Yeah. So what do we got here? By the way,
those movies are horrible.
Okay, what do we got here? There's a movie that the trailer just looks absurd, but it actually looks really entertaining.
Yeah.
Whereas a chimpanzee is
that's a better man,
a pop star,
which is a musical biopic about Robbie Williams, he's a world-renowned musician who just doesn't seem to have a fan base in America, but everybody else seems to love him. So, hey, good on him.
Yeah.
What?
Is he actually a monkey?
In the movie,
no.
It's like, yes.
Okay.
So Robbie Williams is not a monkey. He
okay. Okay.
But
he feels like a monkey.
Well, right. That was the point of the movie, is that he feels that he was, they basically, he's the monkey. The producers are the
like
organ
Dance
grinder.
Monkey Dance,
right? And that's how he feels about his career, and that's why they have
A little
CGI.
in your face.
That's why
but
they
okay.
have a CGI chimpanzee playing the main character.
Oh, okay.
And famously in an interview, he, talking about his career, said, for some strange reason, I have always felt slightly less evolved
Yes.
than everyone else.
Okay.
He actually made that comment, and he's talking about tech and all
Well,
this stuff, but it's a great quote.
It's from tech and everything, but he also feels kind of neurologically more in touch with his feelings and it totally goes against societal norms.
Okay. I mean, I guess the trailer makes me think, for one thing, it'd be fun, but it also, there's always room for metaphor, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
different. At least, I mean, these days, my criteria is if a movie is different, I'll give it a shot.
It did really well at the Golden Globes. That was the
Yeah.
first time I had heard about it, and I was like, "What is this movie about?" And then I saw a trailer, and I was like, "That's interesting."
And they say the cinematography is amazing.
Yeah.
The transitions between scenes
Oh, interesting.
are really well done. Like there's one where he picks up the drink, and as he drinks, you see the bottom of it. When it comes back down, they're in a different setting. There's one where
love
he's
that.
falling, and when he hits the ground, he is in a completely new environment.
Okay, well, maybe it's one of those where it doesn't make money at the box office, but the way it is these days, you can have a second life on streaming. So
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's-
okay.
I think, but I do. I think what's really getting him, and I've seen this a lot, is people are like, "Who is Robbie Williams?" And it's like, dude, and then you start thinking about, well, okay, yeah, the music that I know him for, like Angels and stuff like that, that's like 20 years ago, but they were not Billboard, topping chart,
Yeah.
Right.
things,
All right. Well, I think between now and then, some of us will watch it on streaming when it comes out and then report back. But Brandon, let's shift gears. Okay, this has to be a joke. I just watched.
Well,
It's literally called The Monkey, and
I mean,
the dialogue and the violence.
How
are
many
comedic.
short stories of Stephen King's have you read?
Some. Does he make short stories? Because
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Yes.
His best short story, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of making an impact, was about how to quit smoking, where they like cut your fingers off and stuff like that.
The
But,
prisoner.
yeah. But anyway, but this is
in the same vein, and in that same collection, you got 1408, which was made into a movie with John Cusack and Sam Jackson.
right.
But there's always a twisted humor to anything that Stephen King does. Like The Regulators, things like that. There's always just a twisted sense of humor, and that is definitely shown in The Monkey, which I think is Theo James is the main character, and he plays himself and his twin brother. And there's a wind-up,
I love that.
one of those little wind-up monkeys that with his little drum and everything, and its purpose is to kill off his family apparently and anyone involved in them.
Would
Yeah.
you say that this is funnier than Child's Play? Because I thought the whole purpose of Chucky is the fact that he's not. You don't necessarily know he's a killer doll until afterwards. Because this monkey just kind of comes out right and says, "I'm evil. I'm gonna kill you."
It's funny you said, Max. I was thinking the exact thing. Is this the answer to Chucky? Is this Stephen King's?
No, because
This is an old
this
story.
Okay.
This story is older than Alissa and Max possibly together.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's one of his early horror stories.
This is a toy that came out that was so anamorphic and so terrible. This is like finding an old ventriloquist doll somewhere in a closet. You pick it up, you look at it, and you go, this thing's probably cursed.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
they all
nightmare.
look
This
like that.
monkey has been in so many movies, in so many scenes, and most recently, Imagine Dragons has got one walking down a bar in an animated video.
That's so funny.
And, this monkey is infamous already.
Can I just take a moment to appreciate Alan knowing anything about Imagine
Yeah,
Dragons?
that's not where I thought that was going, but
Can
love
I
it.
just say something though? I mean, because it's starting to look a little fake. How hard would it be to defeat this monkey? You get the monkey, you trap it in like a steel
it's got,
box,
like,
and you
a
put it in a
super-
crusher.
Well, here's one of those
Or
things.
light it on fire.
Here's the situation. We see in the trailer, he breaks it, puts it in a hat box, and drops it down a well.
Yeah.
That's
comes
not.
back.
You got to destroy it.
I bet it can go into all the symbol monkeys.
I mean, he had to learn the lesson from Darth Maul. You don't cut horizontal, you cut vertical.
Yeah, no kidding. You cut one head off and two more come
here's the
back.
thing.
I don't know. Okay.
Evil will always reconstitute and come back in its truest form, and those little wind-up monkeys were pretty evil.
Well, I'm going to say this is going to be a field assignment for you guys. I don't know that I'm going to watch this bit, but I hope you'll report back
we
after
will.
viewing this monstrosity.
I think all the vulgar language in the Catholic Church was hurting Joe.
Yeah. Anyway, it's time to get out of here, you guys. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Alan Gilbreth.
I'm Maximilian.
I'm Alissa Diggs.
And I am Brandon Olmsted, challenging you to find the cursed objects in your past.